Hello and welcome to another episode of Tips and Tricks. In these episodes we are doing the 12 principles of animation, so if you haven't seen the previous videos, remember to click the card above now. So in this episode we are talking about slow ins and slow outs, or also as they're known, ease ins and ease outs. One of the first things a beginner animator will learn to animate is a bouncing ball. Oh no! No, it's okay. You're okay. It's alright. Everything's okay. Now there's good reason for this. Not only can you smash up all the models you spent many hours making, but also it has most of the 12 principles involved in the bounce. One of which, of course, you've guessed it, is slow in and slow out. These two terms refer to the way something either begins to move or comes to a stop between key poses. In the real world, there isn't really that many things that start instantly or stop suddenly, other than, say, a bullet being fired from a gun or running into a brick wall. So it's really important to study how things gradually begin to move or come to a stop. If we look at the bouncing ball example, we can see that as it drops, it slowly begins to gain acceleration, but then has a sudden change of direction when it hits the floor. It uses all the energy it's gained from falling to then propel itself back into the air. But as the energy fades, the ball begins to come to a stop again, which in turn causes it to start to fall back to the ground. If we took this core principle away and just had the ball moving up and down in a linear fashion, it would look really surreal. This ties in directly with another term in animation, which is spacing. So what spacing is imagine blinking 24 times in a second, so really quickly like that. That's basically what a camera does when it's recording to film. So while you're doing this crazy blinking 24 frames every second, imagine if something moved slowly across your sight of view, you'd probably see that object or creature or character, whatever it is, in every single one of those blinks. Whereas if something went past really fast, like a race car, even though you're blinking 24 times within that second, that car's moving so fast that you probably only see it in, say, 3 or 4 of those blinks. And this is basically what spacing is. It's how far apart an object is relative to its previous frame and the next frame, and thus the space between, which is why it's called spacing. So if we take another look at the bouncing ball, and this time place each frame over the top of the other, you can see that when the ball takes off, there's a lot of space between each frame. This is because the ball is moving fast from its start frame, which is also called fast out. But as the ball loses energy, we can see that in each frame the ball doesn't have as much space between it and the next frame. So this is said to be slowing in that it's slowing down to its next key pose, before slowing out as it leaves that pose and begins to accelerate towards the next key pose, which is hitting the floor. So are you following along so far? Good. Let's take a look at some more examples. So here we have a sprinter. Now, unlike a bullet, a sprinter, even Usain Bolt, cannot go from 0 to 30 miles per hour in an instant. They have to slowly increase their speed, which is where they are slowing out from that main start pose. And then they get their maximum speed halfway through the race, and then probably near to the end they start slowing down, but it's right after the finish line that they will then slow down, which is then easing in or slowing into the next pose. So in this example of an arrow, the arrow will leave the bow at a very fast speed and then hit its target and stop instantly. So it will be a fast out because it's going out of that pose at a really fast pace, and then it's a fast in because it's hitting that next pose at a really fast pace. So the spacing between all of those frames will be quite equal and quite wide because it's going so fast. But if it was fired into the air, say, it would actually be quite similar to a bouncing ball, in that whereas a bouncing ball coming off the floor jumps up really quickly, the arrow would fly into the air really quickly, but then as it got higher and higher, it would lose its energy and start to ease in or slow into that next pose before then slowing out as it comes out of that pose and starts to fall to earth, and then gains momentum before digging into the ground, which would then be a fast in. Using the slow in and slow out along with the spacing is a great way to show the weight of an object or a character. This can also show the mood of a character as well, which goes hand in hand with another principle, which is timing. Although we're not going to talk about that now, we're going to leave that to the next episode. So until then, I hope you did enjoy this video, and if you did, remember to give it a thumbs up, and also remember to subscribe if you're not, so you can keep up to date with all the tips and tricks. Until next time, bye for now.